All right, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are. We're going to go ahead and get started. So whoever's here, thank you so much for joining. Whoever joins, I'm excited you'll be joining in. We're going to go ahead and pretty much start right away getting things kicked off today. We're going to build on from last week. So today we will focus on a couple different changes. So instead of 3 reps for most of our activities, we're going to be kicking it up to 5 reps. So if you still feel uncomfortable, or if you feel that you need a little more time strengthening that lower core or the core, then keep it at 3. As long as there are 3 properly activated and performed exercises, then I'd rather that than 5 almost kind of got them, but I got my numbers. So less is best as long as you're giving it your all in those. So we're going to go ahead, like I said, get started. And we're going to start with a different type of stretch today. We're going to go true aerial fashion and float for our first stretch, focusing on our hips, our thighs, our inner, our upper thighs, and our lower back here. So we're going to do a floated stretch today. We're going to grab on once again, though, to the front edge of the hammock here. I'm going to wave it out just to make sure that it's not all folded in on itself. And we will start with a little shoulder stretch before getting in. I like to open up my heart, open up my chest, and really kind of extend that spine. I find that it helps me breathe a lot easier when we do start with our stretches. So grabbing onto that front edge, finding the center of your hammock to create a pouch. So whether you're facing away from your hammock or whether you're standing towards your hammock for gathering, whatever feels comfortable for you, go ahead now and gather about half of the hammock in your hand. Thumbs are on the inside, fingers are on the outside here. And what we're going to do is we're going to separate those thumbs nice and wide. So we're not going to get into our pouch just yet. So sometimes I get in motion. So if you found yourself in motion and you're already back towards your center and in pouch, go ahead, hop out now. Make that shelf behind you with those 2 thumbs in the front edge nice and wide, wider than your hip distance apart here. Walk forward so that your arms are extended behind you here, facing the front of the room, and you're going to extend your spine, ground your feet here. Feet are a little wider than hip distance apart. We're going to go ahead and take a few breaths here as we inhale. We're going to draw in that breath through the nose, feeling our chest expand, feeling our rib cage open, rolling our shoulders back. Start to gently press the palms to the room behind you. As you do that, you should feel a slight squeezing in the scapula or the shoulder blades here, just kind of naturally happening from us standing forward and pressing back into the hammock here. So take another big breath in, maybe bring the chest forward, chin up, inhale. Fill the chest, fill the lungs, fill the belly. As you exhale, push the palms back. Keep those thumbs extended in the hammock so that you keep that shelf nice and tight. Send your hips forward gently and bring your gaze up towards the ceiling. Big breath in here. Exhale one more time. Start to press those palms back, stopping at that resistance, making sure you're not overdoing it on the shoulders. Gently allow the hips and pelvic bone forward to the room in front of you and gaze up. Inhale. Exhale, softening the body, releasing any and all tension as you come back to center. Go ahead and wiggle it out. Keep your hands on the hammock here, but just wiggle out your shoulders. Make sure that you're nice and loosey-goosey. We should have our gathers, but if not, go ahead and gather now. Get half of your hammock in your hand. Step back to your center point and bring those elbows on the inside. Bring the fists to your hips and then scoop your body into the hammock here to get into your pouch. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get further into our hammock. And before we do that, this is something I'd like to mention, and I do before all of my classes where I use a full or open pouch straddle series. We do go into the material, and the material fully envelops us. So there are many points through the next few minutes while we do these stretches that you won't be able to see me without peeking out of your hammock. So with that being said, I'm going to do the best I can to verbalize and explain to you what we're doing, what you should be feeling, what you should be focusing on, and try to remind you of the breath as we go, okay? One more point I'd like to make. A lot of my fellow aerialists are grounded in or have started in yoga. So you are dual yogis as well. A lot of times you bring a internal breath or an internal breath, meaning that when you inhale, we're bringing that breath in through the nose, filling up the body. And a lot of times then when we exhale, we're keeping that energy within. So here with Aerial, what we're going to do today, we're going to focus on inhaling through the mouth. Same thing, filling the body, finding the tension in the body with the breath. So using that breath that we inhale, almost like a spotlight, to dive in and find the tight points that we're trying to release tightness or tension in the stretch for. And we breathe it out, that tightness, through our breath. So we want to make sure that we release today, right? So it doesn't have to be something overly drawn out. It doesn't have to be anything more than releasing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive deeper into our fabric. We're going to take both of our hands here, and you're going to turn to one side or the other, whichever feels best to you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with my right. So I'm going to turn to the right side of my hammock and bring my arms, my right arm to the back side, grab onto all the hammock like a rope in front of my face here. I'm going to start to rotate my body to face both of my fists and push that hammock away from my body here. So as I extend my arms, I fully extend my elbows and arms, and I push those hands as far away from my head as I can here. Make a soft back. So nice, soft spine here. Pressing the lower spine, the lower hips, maybe tuck the tailbone in here so that you get all of that lower hip area into the hammock. Start to impress the back of your body into the fabric here. Big breath. Keep pushing that hammock away from your face. Inhale. Maybe even extend those toes forward, legs fully extended. Big breath. Create space between your body and the hammock. Exhale now. We're going to release any tension. Bend the elbows, bend the knees, but keep holding onto that hammock here. Now, gently pushing that hammock away from your face. Now we're going to take that right leg, in my case, so it's going to be the leg closest to the side you're facing. And you're going to swing and either kick or assist, bending the knee, drawing the foot across through center, and bringing the foot through the other side of the hammock. So we're coming into a straddled, a seated straddled pose. Go ahead and take both hands, reach up high above the crown of your head behind you. Pinkies up. Grab onto that hammock, lift your body gently, and dropping down the hips into the hammock, you want to make sure that the tailbone is going to be your anchor point here. So spine should be nice and straight. Go ahead and make sure of that. So as you tug up, lifting the hips, drop that tailbone down so that it's anchored to the ground below you. We're going to take a moment here and just enjoy this pose. Drop your hands onto the tops of your knees here. Legs should be hanging, knees should be bent. Now here, if you want to ground your energy today, go ahead and keep the palms facing down on the top of the knees. If you're wanting to open up your energy here and receive, go ahead and flip the backs of the palms to the tops of the knees, opening up the palms. Either way, keeping a nice neutral but straight spine. Close your eyes here, take a deep breath in through the nose, down through the shoulders, through the lungs, through the belly. Feel the heaviness of the hips as they sink into the hammock. Feel the heaviness of the thighs. Let any tension melt down over the tops of the thighs, past the knees, over the shins, down through the toes. Wiggle out your toes. Big breath, circle out your ankles. Remember, inhaling through the mouth, filling the body with that fresh air, fresh energy. Find that tension, find that tightness. Breathe it out, get rid of it. We've all got a little extra or a lot extra tightness and tension these days, so these are your moments. Take it. As we start to awaken our legs, circling those ankles, maybe kicking our legs gently back and forth. Drawing attention and awareness back through our body over the thighs. Start to gently press both knees back, opening up your straddle just a little bit here. Maybe feeling a stretch through those inner upper thighs. Another inhale here, making sure that as you breathe in, you're filling the lungs, filling the belly, and as you exhale here, we're going to extend all the way up through our spine. So starting at the lower part of our spine, maybe above your tailbone, start to stack each and every vertebrae, one on top of the other. Coming through your spine, past the shoulder blades, all the way up here to the neck, roll the shoulders back and down. Gaze is neutral and forward. Go ahead, open the eyes. Crown is up towards the ceiling. Big breath, high. Let's go ahead and turn now to one side. Let's go to the right side. So both hands, bring them to your right knee, and now grab onto the hammock right below that right knee. Start to kick the right leg out and heel trap your right foot into the hammock here. You're going to extend that right leg out and turn to the opposite leg or the left leg. Do the same thing. Both hands on the left knee, then find that edge of the hammock underneath that left knee. Kick the foot, heel trap, extend the leg. So when we move around in the hammock, sometimes we get a slouchy, slumpy spine. So we're gonna go ahead and open up our palms nice and big, and we're gonna press down into the hammock underneath our bum or underneath our hips or our thighs. Push down into the hammock, lift those hips up gently, and go ahead and drop that tailbone back down to anchor it to the mat below. Extending the spine up nice and straight. You're gonna open up your arms to a parallel to both legs. So a T position here. Palms should be open and facing the front of the room here in front of you. Fingertips should be sneaking outside of the hammock here. Go ahead, take a big breath in, and as you exhale, press the backs of the hands towards the room behind you. Making sure that your spine stays straight. Roll those shoulders back, let them drop down. Chest is forward, chin is up. And with each exhale, we're gonna press back a little bit further here. I'm breathing out the tension here. So let's pair our breath with our movements. Inhale, sending that breath to the inner upper thighs here, behind the knees where you're starting to feel that tightness and tension in the hips. And as you exhale, release that tension. Press those hands back just a little further. Breathe into that shaking feeling you may have here. One more breath, inhale. And as you exhale here, we're gonna close our arms together like a book. Big breath in. Arms and legs are extended inside of the hammock, but they're together and touching, fingertips and toes pointing forwards. Take another big breath in here, and as you exhale, open back up into that big wide straddle T. And we're gonna turn our palms now. So big open palms, but we're gonna high five the room behind us, and you're gonna flex your feet and press out through your heels. So flexing your feet like you're pushing your feet, your standing feet out of the hammock here. You're gonna drop your toes to face the room behind you. You should instantly feel this activating those lower calves, lower hamstrings, all the way up through the back of the knees, back of the thighs. Take a big breath into this. Don't lose this activation. Heels are pressing out, toes are pressed or pointed to the back of the room. Legs extended, big breath in, spine straight. As you exhale here, push your palms to the back of the room. Continue with your feet flexed, pushing out through your heels, keeping those toes pointed to the back of the room. Another big breath. I know there's a lot of feelings with this one, so we're gonna keep breathing into it. Inhale. As you exhale, one more time, we're gonna make this one really count. Make sure those feet are flexed. Push out through your heels, toes to the back of the room, and push your palms back as far as you can here. Inhale. Exhale, we're gonna soften our arms and our legs. Once again, slowly closing them together like a book. Take a breath here. And on the next exhale, we're gonna open the legs back up into a straddle. This time our hands are just rested on top of both thighs. We're gonna bend our left knee first and bring that left heel in towards the center of your body. Keeping that right leg straight here, bring both hands into a prayer pose right in front of your heart. Look to the left of you. You should see a V-shape opening right above your face. Go ahead and dive those prayer hands right through that V-shape opening, bringing your elbows, shoulders, chest, and head to follow. We're gonna go ahead and pop our shoulders forward here, adjusting. Now there's a lot of tension in these areas. You'll feel a lot of tightness sometimes underneath your shoulders, underneath and the sides of the chest. This is very normal in the beginning, especially. Take this where you can today. We're gonna go ahead and take our right palm. If we're trapped with our left leg, obviously you'll have to switch if you are doing this opposite, but the big open palm here, we're gonna take the hammock material underneath our left shoulder and push it back as we bring our left shoulder forward here. So you should already begin to feel this in the left hip here, the top of that left thigh. We're gonna take a big breath in, and as we exhale, slowly start to melt forward, bringing the weight of the chest down towards your knees and chin, letting the arms be heavy and loose. Inhaling and sending that breath into the body, finding tightness and tension you feel as you exhale, softening the neck and allowing the crown of the head to hang to the mat here. Wiggle your fingers, circle your wrists, shimmy your shoulders here, a little shake, and maybe a little nod yes and shake no with your head, just to make sure you're not holding any hidden tension in the neck and shoulder area. And over the next couple of breaths, really feeling the gravity take over, and as you exhale, sinking the crown of the head, the fingers, the shoulders, and the body down towards the mat. This is a fabulous hip and thigh opener and lower back opener as well. So what we're going to do is, you can stay where you're at if this is where you're comfortable today. If you want to take it to the next progression, we're going to bend our straight leg or our right leg, bending the knee and kicking the heel behind the body towards your glute. This is the anti-gravity yin-yang pose. From here, we're going to release our arms back down to the mat, sinking our hips back down into the hammock here. Breathing into any tightness you feel in the pelvic and hip areas, allowing the softening of the lower back here, feeling the muscles release, allowing your head to sink further down towards the mat. One more big breath here, or wherever you're at. Full, complete exhale, really giving away 110% here and fully surrendering. We're going to slowly start to come back up now. You can use your hands on that front leg here to just give yourself a little boost up as we body roll up, bringing the body inside the hammock. We're going to slowly extend one leg at a time, coming back into that straddle pose here. If you need to adjust, if you start to slump, go ahead and take those big open palms, press them down into the hammock underneath your hips, lift your hips, place that tailbone back down. Now we're going to go ahead and bend the right knee. Bring that right heel into the body, bringing prayer hands into our center heart. Look to the right side of the hammock now, seeing the right V-shape opening where we're going to dive through, opening up to the opposite side of the room now. So once again, diving our arms, shoulders, chest, and head through. We're going to take a time to adjust here. If we need to press the hammock away below that opposite shoulder, go ahead and do that. Focusing on opening up the right hip now, hip socket and thighs. We're going to take a big inhale, and as you exhale, slowly start to melt forward, allowing the fingertips to just reach down towards the mat. Feeling the softening here in the hands, the arms, the shoulders. The next exhale, we're going to release that neck, slowly allowing the crown of the head to drop towards the mat. Once again, a little finger wiggle, a little wrist circle, shoulder shake. Slight movements to make sure you're not hiding tension in any of these areas of the body. And now over the next couple breaths, really allowing gravity to once again sink your body back down, chest into your thighs or into your calves. Shoulders, arms, fingertips, and head down towards the mat. On the next exhale here, you can either stay where you're at or once again take it to the next step while bending that opposite or the straight left leg, bending that left knee, sending the heel behind the body here. And once again, settling into this pose, adjusting if you need to, maybe pressing the hammock away from the rib cage if it's bothersome. This will get easier the more you practice this. This is not something that you use often in your practice. There are certain tight spots that I promise will soon subside. So now focus on melting the body back down into a nice surrendered position here. Feeling gravity just weight you here. Sinking into the right hip, hip socket. Inhale one more time. And this time as we exhale, slowly body rolling up once again. You can use your hands to leverage against that front leg. Bringing your body back inside of the hammock slowly, once again, one leg at a time. We're going to come into our straddle. Now we're going to come out of this position by bending one knee and bringing the heel into the body. Go ahead and drop that foot out of the hammock, same to the other side. We're going to grab all the hammock in front of us like a rope, push away the material from our face, and kick our back leg, bringing it forward and through back towards the front. Both arms to the back side of the hammock here, and use both sides of the hammock like a rope to tug yourself back into a center position. All right, you guys, so to come out of our pouch position here, go ahead and grab up high, and you can either just lift yourself or you can kick your legs up high and push them down to the ground as you give a little tug. I'm going to take a sip of my water here, and we're going to get right in, excuse me, to our front belt stretches. So for our front belt stretches, we're going to start here at center point, standing behind the hammock, grabbing onto all that hammock like a rope, separate the hands, push down into the hammock here. Hands or fists are at both sides of the hips, lifting your heels off of the mat and walking forward on the balls of the feet here. Walking to front belt tension, so coming to where the hammock stops you at your hip flexors. Remember, that's that part of the body where we crease as we bend here at the hips. So we're going to walk forward. Balls of the feet are grounded, heels are up, hands are at the side for now. Go ahead and slowly release each hand out to the side. Big breath in, nice tight core, and as you exhale, keeping that core tight, we're just going to slowly drop our fingertips tented down towards the ground, as well as the crown of the head here, so that we should still be in our front tension, where the hammock is tight against our hip flexors, and our fingertips are tented on the ground, crown of the head hanging, we're looking at our knees. Take a big breath in here. And as you exhale, we're just going to bend both of our knees, a little micro bend, maybe 3 to 6 inches, letting the hammock or our hips sink into the hammock here. Inhale, extend the knees, just drawing the nose back up towards those fingertips. One more time, inhale. Exhale, remember, release that tension, that tightness you feel in the hips, bend those knees and sink the hips down into the material. Inhale, roll forward, extend the knees. We're going to take one little step back, so we don't want to be at our center or our TP, one little step back, still at tension, heels up high here. We're going to go ahead and pedal out our heels, so dropping that left heel first, pressing the heel down towards the mat and keeping the right knee bent. We're going to switch out, rocking forward, extending both knees and bend or extend that right knee, press the right heel down, extend, inhale, exhale. We're going to bend that right knee, press that left heel down, inhale, roll forward, exhale, right heel, and left, inhale. One more time, exhale, drop that right heel, bend that left knee, and we're going to rock forward here, high up on the balls of the feet once again. We're going to now bend our knees out towards the side here, slightly turning our heels in towards one another as we ground the balls of our feet into the mat. So we're just going to take a little bend here. As we bend our knees, we're going to let them splay out to the side, almost creating a diamond shape with our legs. Go ahead and extend the knees one more time here. Big open palms. We're going to high five our mat. Now here's where you can float back, or if you're not comfortable, you can walk back still. Coming back to your TP position at center. Make sure that those arms are extended forward, palms are flat and glued to the mat here, and your toes are just hovering over the mat. Legs are straight, so no bent knees for now. We're going to take a big breath in here, and we're going to start off with our leg switches. So today we're going to start with a bent right knee, keeping the left toe just hovering or barely touching the ground. We're going to bend that right knee and kick the right heel all the way up to our glute, pinching it in towards our bum, and drop that right toe. Inhale, exhale, bend that left knee, pinch the heel into your glute, and we're going to switch and add up a little speed. So we'll do those 5 times. Inhale, exhale right, exhale left, inhale, exhale right, inhale, exhale left, and now right, then left, one more time, right and left. Dropping both toes to the mat here. If you want, you can go ahead and gently push the balls of the feet into the mat. Let's go ahead now, and we're going to lift both of our heels, bending the knees, drawing the heels in towards our bum or our glutes, keeping those knees tight towards your chest here. Your nose should be facing your knees. Your crown of the head should be dropped nice and heavy, maybe a little shoulder stretch here. Go ahead and drop those toes back to the mat. Big breath here. We're going to go ahead now and go into our little lever dip. So this is something we didn't do last week. So we're gonna make sure that we start off correctly. Once again, we're at center in our TP. Big open palms are glued to the mat, arms are stretched out. Our legs are straight, so our knees are straight. Our toes are just touching the ground here. We're gonna keep our ankles together and lever our legs up about 6 inches and drop the toes back down. Inhale, lever up. We're gonna take it about 12 inches and drop it down. Again, up, keep those ankles together, legs straight, and drop it down. So what you're wanting is this hammock to roll over the hip flexors here, almost like a foam roller in a sense. We're gonna do one more. Toes touch the ground. Inhale, lever those legs up, and drop the toes back down. Now we're gonna walk each foot out to the side here, keeping the toes just hovering on the mat for our straddle position. We're gonna now do our straddle ups here. So same thing, we're gonna keep the legs straight and lift the toes about 6 inches and drop them down. Lifting the toes now about 12 inches. We're gonna drop and do 4 more. So we're gonna keep the top of the body stationary here. And most of this movement, almost all of this movement is happening from the hips down. Once again, lifting those legs, inhale, dropping those toes back down. One last time, lift, inhale. Exhale, drop the toes back down. Find the balls of the feet back on the ground here, and we're gonna bring our toes back to center. Coming to our floated TP, we're gonna do our wishbone to dovetail switches here. So toes stay together, knees start to bend as you draw your heels up towards your body. Here, we're gonna float in our wishbone position. So knees out nice and wide as you can press them out, maybe pushing the balls of the feet together or the toes together here, creating that diamond shape with our legs. We're gonna go ahead now and take a big breath in. Exhale, squeeze those knees together. Remember, dovetail can give you a little extra pinch as you exhale. Send those toes out nice and wide for dovetail, keeping those knees in tight together. If you want a little extra push, go ahead and squeeze those knees in close to your chest. Inhale, we're gonna now do switches. We're gonna do 3 back and forth alternating. So inhale, exhale, we're gonna bring toes together, knees out wide for wishbone. Inhale, knees together. Exhale, toes out wide for dovetail. Inhale, exhale, wishbone, knees out wide. Inhale, knees together. Exhale, toes out wide for dovetail. One more time, toes together, inhale, knees out wide, exhale. Last time, knees in. Keep those knees tight and send those toes out nice and wide. Go ahead and bring the feet back together here. What we're gonna do is drop those toes right back down to the mat. Find our feet here on the ground and slowly begin to walk forward until we come all the way to that front belt tension once again, walking us back up to a standing position. So here we're gonna ground our heels back down. You can reach up by your hips or bend the knees. Put your hands on the tops of your thighs here. Take a little folded rest, a little neutral fold here. Allow the blood flow to regulate. Allow yourself to catch your breath here. Maybe you've got some stretch sweats. I know that front belt always initiates that for me. So good. Let's get those toxins out. Slowly start to extend your knees. And we're gonna body roll up. So stacking each vertebrae in a cat back until you roll that spine all the way up to a nice standing position, shoulders back, chest forward, and chin up. We're gonna take a little extra breather, throw the hammock behind you here. So this is where you can grab a little water break. Hammock to your mid-back. Walking back a couple steps so you have tension at your back. Bend your knees, now leaning or inclining into the hammock behind you and taking a couple steps forward with bent knees, just relaxing. I'm going to grab my water. Okay, so, and you can remain kind of in recovery here if you'd like for an extra couple breaths, or you can kind of get in position with me. Either way, we're gonna go into starting to warm up that core. Last week we did this in a floated position, in a pouch. And this week, we're going to do it in a standing position. So we're gonna do some standing crunches today. These are incline crunches, and this is gonna focus on a good portion of the facial abs here, but you're gonna really notice it tomorrow and the top of the abdomen, where we generally have a hard time reaching, and all along here, along the sides, beginning into the obliques. So standing in front of your hammock, underneath your center point, we're gonna grab onto the hammock with our elbows back and through. So I'm gonna start neutral, just since this is our first time. Once again, I always like to take a little extra time to verbalize and show, so that when you move forward with this video, and hopefully you practice it multiple times, you can have that correct activation, know what you're looking for, and so forth. So hands high above the head, bringing them back through the hammock so your arms are behind the hammock as you stand in front. Thumbs in, fingers out. We're gonna grab onto that hammock like a rope and create a back belt here, a lower back belt. So this is gonna be right below those hip bones, and they're gonna be resting in your lower sacrum. So you do not want this up here above your hip bones, because that'll go into your ribs and the soft of your sides. So anchoring the hammock to your lower back, we're gonna hold onto that hammock at our hips with both of our fists, standing up on the balls of our feet, lifting our heels, start to walk to back tension. So you wanna walk back a few steps until that hammock is locked into place here at your lower sacrum. What we're gonna do here is take one big step out to both sides. So we have a nice wide stance, much wider than hip distance apart, keeping our knees just gently bent for now here. Tailbone is tucked, and we're going to make sure that we have a nice strong core. So right now, go ahead and activate that core if you haven't already, tightening those abdominal muscles, the lower back here, making sure that you draw that belly into your spine. We're gonna keep the elbows bent. You can keep your hands at your side. And we're gonna lower our shoulders or shoulder blades back towards the mat behind us, just 6 inches here. And we're gonna tighten and lift so our nose comes up towards the center of the hammock, and slowly incline back 6 inches, crunching back up. And we're doing this with a 3 count. So we're lowering 1, 2, 3, keeping that nice tight core, crunching up 1, 2, 3. 2 more. We're gonna lower those shoulders back, keep that core tight, crunch back up. 1 more time, lower and back. And remember, you can start with reps of 3 on this. Let's go ahead and take 1 step forward and 1 step out here. We're gonna lower our shoulders back another 6 inches. So we should be about a foot away from our hammock with our shoulders, crunching all the way up, nose in towards the center of our hammock. Keep that nice tight core, lower back about 12 inches and crunch up. So again, you can do 3 reps here if we're just starting. You can kick it up to 5 reps if you'd like today. There's your 3. We're gonna crunch, keep that activation, nose up towards hammock, lowering back down. 1 more time if you're going for 5, crunching all the way up, nose in towards center, slow lower all the way back. 1 more step up and out with both legs. We should be below our center point, lowering your back as close to parallel as you can, keeping a nice tight core. We're gonna crunch up, 1, lowering all the way down, back up, crunch 2, lowering it all the way down. Keep a nice tight core. Do not lose that activation. Here's 3. And if you're done at 3, go ahead and slowly lower before you come up. Let's go 4. 1 more time. Bring it down. Last one, up and all the way back. To come out or to come back, just walking to back tension and allowing the hammock to gently release from your back. So take a few breaths here. This is one that will always get me fired up, get me nice and hot, and shows a lot of results. I recommend adding this into your daily or however often you practice conditioning for aerial. So I'm gonna take a quick sip of water. We're gonna keep this fire going and go right into our front belt conditioning. So coming around to the back side of the hammock here. Now last week we started off with some bases. We're gonna go ahead, touch on those bases again as well. We're gonna add up the reps. Like I said, we're going to 5 today. If you still need to keep it at 3, no problem. As long as you're properly activating and optimizing these exercises, you do what you can today, there will always be time for progression. So with these, we're gonna go ahead, do the 5 progressions. Last week I added a folded rest in between the exercises. If you feel that the strain on your core or your lower back is too much and you need a break in between some of these reps, by all means take it. That's the purpose and the design of how we've set up this class, so that you can go back, you can jump back in, do it at your pace. So please don't push yourself, monitor your resistance as always. And at the end of our run, we're gonna go ahead and do our folded rest and recovery. So if you don't end up getting it in between, there will be time for it at the end. The other thing I will say is try to practice or try to challenge yourself to levitate without using your hands at your side at various times. So if you're still not fully comfortable letting go of your hands at your hip side and bringing your hands down or finding balance with your arms, that's absolutely fine. But a good way to start to progress that quicker is to maybe bring one arm out when you start to feel confident and strong in your exercises, and practice even if it's for a moment at a time. Alternating is always a good option. So now, with all that being said, hopefully I gave you a little rest from our little standing crunches. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our front belt. So standing at center point here, finding the hammock like a rope with both hands, separate your hands wider than hip distance apart. Push down, and of course you can walk forward to front tension like last week, but we're gonna go ahead and we're going to challenge ourselves and come right to the center, popping those elbows in front of your hammock. Let's bend one knee and ground that, balls the feet into the mat. Send your opposite leg back as you rest your hips into the hammock. Bringing both legs back here, finding a floated position. So here, if you start to find discomfort or if you need to adjust, this is the time to do it. Make sure that that front belt is in fact locked across your hip flexors into the hip bones, not in the lower of the belly here or otherwise. So we're gonna start off, again, hands at hips if you still feel comfortable with that. Either way, nice tight core. So again, draw the belly into spine. Abdominal muscles are nice and activated all the way around to our lower back here. Our lower back muscles are nice and strong. I'm gonna go ahead and release my hands today. So don't feel that you need to follow along if you're not there yet. We're gonna keep our feet so that they're just wide of the hip distance apart and our toes are just hovering on the ground to start. Nice tight core, big breath in. We're gonna go ahead and just start off with our straddled toe dips or toe touches. So we're gonna lift our toes about 6 to 8 inches, drop the toes back down. Remember, we're lifting our toes or lifting our legs here by activating our glute muscles and our back thigh muscles. We're gonna lift our back muscles, lift and drop. Again, 2 more times, lift those toes, drop the toes, lift and drop. Go ahead now, and you can use your hands as you do this. We're gonna bring in both of our toes here for our narrow legs. And we're gonna lift our toes about 6 to 8 inches and start to flutter our feet. Again, this activation or this motion comes from our glute muscles and our lower back. Continue fluttering for 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and drop those toes. We're gonna separate our feet back into that straddle now. We're gonna lift once again into a straddle, bringing our feet maybe about 6 to 12 inches off the ground, wherever you're comfortable. Once you lift those toes, pop both feet out, bring the toes back in and drop the toes back down. So we're doing our straddle up, pop outs. So once again, toes up, pop them out, bring them in, draw them down. Toes up, pop them out, bring them in, draw them down. 1 up, out, in, down, and one more time, bring those toes up, out, in, and down. Now from here, we're gonna go ahead and bring our toes back up, drawing our legs out into that straddle position, holding and pulsing out. And we're gonna alternate between these. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like or what I mean by that. We're gonna lift our legs into that straddle and pulse out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll bring our feet back down and we're gonna repeat that, okay? So because it's a different variation, if you'd like to start off with just doing 3 of those today, by all means, that's where we'll start. If you wanna add in a couple extra, let's go for it. So let's go ahead and start those. lifting those legs out or up. We're going to pulse them out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep the legs out into a wide straddle for 3, 2, 1. Drop those toes. Whew, we're almost there, you guys. So from here, we're going to go ahead and take a bend at our hips. You can do this by holding on by your hips for some extra steadiness, or if you feel like you want to challenge yourself, we're going to tighten up that core, and we're going to slowly bend at the hips, lowering into a small ball position here. We're going to bend our knees, tighten our knees into the chest, bending our elbows, bringing them into our chest as well, squeezing our heels up towards our glutes, creating this little small ball as we float. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, we're going to open up into our lever position. Again, your hands can be at your hips to help assist you if you'd like here. Opening up into that lever position here, into a hold, and then folding back down. So this is what it looks like here. Inhale. Exhale, start to extend the legs, send the toes back, lift the chest, and extend the arms. Folding at the hips, and bringing yourself back into a nice small ball. We're going to do that here 4 more times, or wherever you're at here. So inhale, exhale, extend, open up. And I know I said 4, but I mean 5 if you're on the 5 run and you watched me do that last one. Ha-ha. Let's come to that small ball. Inhale, exhale, tighten those muscles, extend and open up into that lever, folding back into a small ball. Inhale, 2 more times. Exhale, open back up. Inhale, fold. Exhale, 1 more time, open back up. And now 1 more time, folding into a small ball. So here's where we're going to work on some tight hold or some core activation holds here. So we're going to extend our body back into that lever. And whether your hands are at your hips or they're out at your sides or they're down, we're going to now really make sure as we hold in this floated position that we're tightening through our glutes for our legs to be lifted up nice and high. Our chest is up high, chin is up, core is nice and strong. When you are ready, go ahead and fold. We're going to hang out here literally for a few. This is going to be a little recovery pose. So bending the elbows, maybe letting the forearms just rest on the mat. Letting your feet hover unless you feel like you want to bring your feet down to release some of that front belt tension by pushing away from the mat. You can do that. Otherwise, just allowing the legs to be nice and soft. Let them hang. You can use your hands on the mat here to maybe slowly start to sway your body right to left as it floats. Start to allow your legs to, I call them dead legs. So what I mean here is that from the hips down, you're allowing no motion or no movement. You're creating no activation. Everything and every muscle that you use right now as you sway and move right to left is created from the hips up. Everything else from the hips down is just following here. So as you start to sway and these sways get bigger from momentum, you let gravity take the legs right to left, maybe pressing the hips into the hammock fabric a little more each time you sway. Either way, wherever you're at, wherever your sway is, what it looks like, just allow yourself now to organically come back to a still point by not forcing any movement. Allowing the hammock to slowly come back to center stillness. Once you are at stillness, we're going to draw our toes down to the ground, pressing the balls of our feet into the mat as you start to walk forward past your center point to the front of your mat here. Coming to front belt tension, ground your heels back into the ground. Bring your hands up towards the top of the thighs here. Bending at the knees, taking a neutral fold as you breathe and allow that blood flow to regulate. When you are ready, go ahead and slowly start to extend the knees, extend through the hips, through the spine, rolling that back all the way up, shoulders back, chest forward, chin up. We're going to take the hammock, bring it behind us, and go into a little gyro cool down. So the hammock's behind us once again, arms above the head, hands to the back of the hammock here. For this, we're going to create a mid-back belt. So we want the hammock to go right below our shoulder blades, our scapula, or our bra line, however you relate. So the hammock piece or that fabric's going to go right across the mid of the back here. As you stand up nice and straight at center, roll the shoulders back and down. So you should feel those shoulder blades almost locking in above the hammock here. As you walk back, start to walk all the way back to that back tension, making sure the hammock locks into place right below the shoulder blades. Start to slide your hands up high on the hammock and bend at the knees as you walk your feet forward and lean your back into the hammock. So really locking the hammock into that placement here. We're going to go ahead and hold on to the hammock with both hands, elbows on the back side of the hammock and bent, bringing the hands down maybe about 8 inches above the head. And what we're going to do here is walk forward so that our tailbone is over or under our center point. So we're in kind of like a floated awkward chair here. What we're going to do now is we're going to toe heel out. So sending our heels out and now our toes out, bending the knees as we widen our stance, legs open nice and wide, toes out. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to bend our right knee, lean towards the right side of the room here, keeping the left leg nice and straight. The left foot is planted on the ground. You're going to press away from that planted foot here. You're going to drop the hips. So I want you to take a big breath in. As you exhale, I want you to sink your hips. Nice and heavy. You should feel this stretch here through those inner upper thighs. Start to push out to that right side of the room through that right bent knee. Almost like as you press away from that standing foot, you push out through that right standing knee. You feel that extension from the toe of the standing foot all the way through to the bent knee. We're going to extend both legs, rocking back to center, bending the opposite knee, and rocking towards that left side. Once again, planting down into that right foot, pushing away from that right standing foot, pressing through that left bent knee here. Maybe pushing that knee back a little bit. You should feel a little shake here. Inhale. Exhale, extend both knees, rock back to center. Any time and point, if the hammock starts to slip to your underarms and it becomes uncomfortable, grab up on the hammock nice and high, lift the body, and just adjust so that that hammock comes back underneath the shoulder blades here. We're going to bend that right knee once again. This time we're going to get a little bit deeper. So lifting that right heel. Get something stuck on my foot. So we have that left leg, just in case you got confused watching me. Left leg is still straight, left leg planted. Go ahead now with that right bent knee. Lift your right heel, pressing the balls of that right foot down into the mat. Breathing into this here, you can take this a little farther. Take your right hand, pressing it into the inner right knee. Push that knee back gently here, feeling it in that right hip socket. Maybe gently rocking the pelvic bone forward here. Monitor your body though. Bring your hands back to the hammock and slowly rock back to center. One last time to the left here. We're going to bend the left knee. Lift that left heel. Ground down in the balls of the left foot. Push away from your right standing foot. And now if you want to take it a little farther, take that left hand, pushing it to the inner knee, or placing it on the inner left knee. Push that left knee back gently. So again, you should feel this here in that left hip socket. And you can take it one step further by gently rocking the hips or the pelvic bone forward here. Big breath in. Exhale, rock back to center. We're going to go ahead, reach up high. Send those arms all the way up, holding onto the hammock here. Nice strong grip. We're going to drop the crown of the head back as we lift our hips or hip bones up towards the ceiling, gently squeezing the glutes. Take a big breath here. As you exhale, using your hands to help assist, gently tug yourself back up. And we're going to toe heel back in. So we're going to send our knees bent and our toes in. Now our knees out, heels in, toes in, heels up. Reach up high. Let's go ahead and tug ourselves up. Go ahead, grab yourself a sip of water, take a little breather. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of wind down now. I have a few things I wanna say. Take a sip of water, and before we do that, I know this is the part that I have to get used to, and I'll probably cut this out after the live, but I do wanna actually come together and end the class. Something I'm not used to with lives or doing it in this fashion is not having the human interaction of you right there, so your energy, as much as you are here with me, you're not in the room with me. So something that I felt was missing last week was just coming together, giving me a chance to thank you for sharing this space with me, as different as this space may be. I'm grateful for the opportunity to do that. So wherever you're at right now, before we get started in more talking, step away from your hammock. Ground yourself here into the mat. We're gonna separate our feet so they're just wider than hip distance apart. And I want you to really plant the points of your feet down into the ground. So like we're really rooting ourselves here back into the earth. We wanna make sure you can lift all 10 toes. And now go ahead and round your feet down on the ground. You should feel the balls or the points of the feet. Make sure they're nice and planted. Legs are straight, hips are straight. Spine is nice and straight. Roll your shoulders back and down. Start to extend your arms out wide to both sides here. You can close your eyes or keep them open here, whatever feels good. Keeping those shoulders rolled back, chest forward, chin up, nice open heart. Take a big breath in. As you exhale here, we're gonna bend gently at the knees, bend at the hips, fold forward as you soften the lower back and dive the crown of the head forward. Let's sweep our arms into across our bodies a few times. And now extending through the knees, through the hips, through the spine, roll the shoulders back and down, arms out nice and wide, chest forward, chin up, big breath in. One more time, bending at the knees, bending at the hips, folding forward, drop the crown of the head, sweep the arms in front of you a few times here, nice soft movements, maybe even round out your ankles, your knees, your hips. Coming back to stillness here, big breath in, ground those feet back into the mat as you push away from the mat, extending through the ankles, knees, thighs, hips, all the way up through the spine. Feel each vertebrae stack on top of the next. As you roll the shoulders back and down, chest forward, chin up, slowly start to extend the arms out to the side. Keep them going, bring them all the way up above the crown of the head. Bring those palms together in prayer. Reach those fingertips through the roof towards the sun. Big breath in, inhale. And as you exhale, bring your palms back to prayer. Bend at the elbows, bend at the hips, fold forward for your final bow. Like I said, I appreciate you sharing the space with me. I appreciate you sharing this experience with me. I appreciate all the feedback I've been getting so far and look forward to all the feedback to come. I want you to reach out if you have any questions as we go.